Step back three for the tie. Oh, he's done it again. They get it to him. More in space. A burst of speed. A first down for Purdue. He's still going. More. Cuts back. Touchdown. Each one more.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a long time coming episode of the Bowler Express podcast. We've been off for a few weeks now with the end of basketball and just kind of things dying down a little bit. But there's been some news that's been happening the last few weeks as well. And we finally found a time to all get together and kind of just chit chat about that a little bit. There's not really a format to tonight's episode, not a length or anything like that. Anything like that, y'all didn't.
Howdy, Damon. Good Lord.
Dylan doing the intro?
I just heard the banjos going on in the background.
Ding, 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 ding. Wow, we're just all right. Normally, when Russ is here, we make fun of him, but apparently, this episode, it's I'm the new Russ. All right.
But we don't really have a format to tonight's episode. We're just gonna kind of talk about what's been going on and share our thoughts on everything. And so I think we're gonna start off with talking a little bit about basketball because even though the season ended a little bit ago. I think I'm dying. A little bit ago now.
All right, Damon's done.
Yeah.
Am I hosting the show? Sounds like I'm hosting the show.
It's ended a little bit ago, but there's been some stuff happening with Brandon Newman putting his name in the transfer portal and us adding a point guard or a guard, a duo guard maybe of sorts. So Frank, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sorry, my computer froze up there.
Oh, no, you're good.
Yeah, no. So as we all know, Brandon Newman put his name in the transfer portal. Not something that's extremely surprising, although I think it's more surprising, after how he ended the season, than I would have been in the middle of the season. But that's it. It's bittersweet because I know it's probably the best thing for him. He's had a really rough, tenure at Purdue, but personally, I just wanted to see him finish things out, in the black and gold. But I'll forever remember being at the Big Ten tournament last season where we lost to Iowa and then starting the Brandon Newman chant, because that was kind of the first game. I think it was against Northwestern, right? No, Penn State. It was against Penn State where he hadn't played in several games and he came in and did some really good things. Yeah, he just kind of took over the game. Yeah, they started hitting some shots and playing really well defensively. And, toward the end, everyone was, all the Purdue fans were happy and just kind of started a Brandon Newman chant. And actually went back and watched it, and you could kind of hear it on TV. So that's my claim to fame there is talking about being able to start that. So I think it would not be a huge shocker to see him end up at Notre Dame, but time will tell. I know him and Shrews are very close, and there's a lot of speculation among Valparaiso fans that he's going to end up there. So we wish Brandon nothing but the best of luck and success in the future. He's one of those guys where it's not like in the past where we've had some players leave and maybe there's some animosity from the fan base toward that player. I don't think that there's a single Purdue fan who could have any negative feelings against Brandon Newman personally.
Yeah, no, I think everybody wants to see him succeed. And I think everybody really hates or is bummed out that maybe he didn't succeed to the level that he and us as, fans wanted as well. So yeah, shout out to you, Brandon, for everything. I think you showed a lot of grit coming back, even after the previous year as well, and being a leader on the sidelines and in the games as well. So yeah,
maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like Brandon's trajectory and Jackson Anthrop's trajectory kind of mimicked each other because when Brandon came in, he was very good. He had a really good freshman year, and then Boom Ivy pops in, or like in Jackson's case, Rondale pops in. So like it's like you never really got that flow and that motion to really get into what he wanted to do. But I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just kind of a quick thought.
Yeah, I think it's, I think Painter even kind of touched on it, that Newman wanted to be like kind of like the star player, the guy that got a lot of minutes and was really a force in the offense, whereas Painter really wanted him to be more of that role player. And so, yeah, I'm sure that was a really difficult transition.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting parallel there, Chris. He did start almost every game his freshman year. I remember people asking Painter in the press conferences after the game, why isn't Brandon Newman getting minutes? And it's like, Jaden Ivey. I mean, that was literally his response one time. It's like, we have Jaden Ivey on our team. So, it's not necessarily a knock on him.
Bad timing.
His sophomore year, his defense, I think, kept him off the court for that kind of stretch toward the end. His defense was quite, but Painter did, a notable thing, that opportunity to start at that one game, and unfortunately it didn't go too well for him. But he really turned things around later in the season, and I know he's going to go be a star player wherever he ends up. So I know, Brandon, you're listening. Thank you. We appreciate everything you've done for us, and love watching you play. Best of luck wherever you end up. So other news on the basketball front, we have brought in another guard. And similarly to what we saw with Brandon Newman, no one's starting job is safe. So we brought in Lance Jones from Southern Illinois. It's a guy who's played a combination of 1 and 2 throughout his career at Southern Illinois. He's been definitely a volume guy. When you look at his numbers, he's played a lot of minutes and he's taken a lot of shots. So when we look at last season, he took 243 3-pointers. So we haven't seen those kinds of numbers since Carson. I mean, it's just we haven't seen that kind of volume. So when looking at last year's roster, Fletcher led the team with 181 attempted threes. Now, he only made 65 of those 243 for 26.7% on the season. I haven't watched a ton of film because honestly the film just isn't there. Not easily accessible, but I've heard that he was forced into a lot of, trying to carry the offense kind of role. So I'll have to confirm that, but really excited to see what he's going to do in a Purdue uniform. I know Painter's talked about his defense, what he can do on the defensive side. But what are your all's thoughts on this incoming transfer?
I have no clue. I have not a clue on Lance Jones, to be honest with you. I know that we were even talking before we got a point guard. Dylan's like,
what happened? Was that you, David?
No, it was not me. It was, I don't know what fell in somebody's office.
Did you drop something?
I did, yeah. And I played it off so well. I just talked through it. Yeah.
I appreciate the focus on.
I appreciate the maturity that Chris and I clearly do not have. This is why Big Brain Frank is the mature one of the group, because he powered through like nothing happened, and Chris and I are down here laughing like nothing. All right.
Focus.
But no, so yeah, Damon, that's an interesting point. That I too have no idea what to expect from Lance Jones. A lot of people on Twitter weren't necessarily happy with
unless it was LJ Cryer or somebody like that. Nobody was going to be happy. Nobody.
Purdue's fan base was mad about something. Come on,
no,
stop it.
Never has that ever happened.
Stop it,
guys. Stop spreading around your fake news. Okay, we're a bunch of pacifists over here in West Lafayette. We don't.
My Twitter mentions say otherwise.
But I am interested. So to me, it sounds like Braden Smith has that starting one, locked up, and then Fletcher's probably got the 2 spot locked up, which is something that we've kind of been conditioned not necessarily to expect from Painter. But if you think about how much of a luxury that is, like we're going to have Braden and Fletcher both starting at the 1 and 2 in all likelihood next season with 29 wins, as true freshmen in the Big Ten. Like that's going to be a huge luxury to have them with that type of experience.
Mm-hmm.
But I, from what it sounds like, Lance Jones is a really good defender. Again, very limited film that I was able to find. Joe Jackson on Twitter did a great thread. For anyone who doesn't follow Joe, please do so.
Shout out to Joe.
Find some really good film on him there. But his ability to get to the basket was pretty impressive in the film that Joe put out. Which, if we remember at the end of the season when Painter was interviewed and he said that he wants to recruit guys who can get to the basket a little bit more. So that maybe that's what Painter saw in Lance Jones. That's what he was seeking in him. So time will tell. I think the big question is what is his intended role, and then how will he embrace that role? I think once we answer those questions, everything will kind of fall in line for him.
And something I'm really curious about, not to take anything away from Lance, but I've seen the way that Painter and everybody's been talking about Cam Hyde, this offseason, about how athletic he is, how much of he's super athletic. He's a great wing, great shooter. So I'm really excited to see what he's all about. Seems like he's got a lot of high praise. So going to be interested to see what his role looks like next year as well.
Yeah, he's another guy who, was hurt for a while in high school. And so it's really film on him, in high school is also limited. So I, for one, really don't have much of an idea of what he can do. But Painter has talked about his athleticism, and, Purdue basketball on Twitter did put out some videos in the summer workouts of him just, rising and dunking with ease.
So you can watch him warm up during even watching him just warm up with the team last year, you could see it. I mean, his dunks were incredible. He was like,
he's 6'5", right? 6'5", 6'6",
something like that. Yeah.
So maybe Ethan Morton with a little more athleticism from a stature perspective. Okay. Interesting.
Chris, what are you? I can't. Every time I look down at Chris's square, it's just him doing something goofy, and I can't take
I'm in
it.
a good mood tonight. I'm sorry.
Good. Well, I'm not saying being
Be
a bad
angry.
mood.
That's fine.
No, I'm saying that's great. I'm proud of you for being in a good mood. I mean, it's just good. It's never a dull moment. You just
imagine somebody just like listening to this on Spotify on their way to work, just so confused.
I love them. Yeah, we do great for the listeners. It's strictly.
Often wonder how the absence of video translates. Yeah,
not well.
It's very hard. There's a couple Spotify streams I listen to that do like YouTube or something like that, and they'll literally break character and be like, "Listen, sorry if you're listening on Spotify. This is gonna make absolutely zero sense."
Yeah. They don't get why I got the case of the giggles over here. They're just
giggles.
And so before we transition away from basketball, Zach Edey did declare for the draft, and something we haven't touched on yet. He's not hiring an agent yet, which means he's maintaining his college eligibility. And there's an interesting article recently written by someone whose name escapes me. Honestly, I'd never heard of before, who somehow claimed that Edey was
Greg
getting.
Doyle. Just kidding.
Oh no! Say if it was, I didn't see that one. But
no.
claim that Edey was able to get a close to $1 million NIL contract, and then there are all sorts of wonderful comments. If you can find it, it's fantastic, highly worth the read. There was all sorts of things saying that if Edey's getting $1 million, Trey Saxon Davis should be getting $4 million, and all sorts of stuff like that. But
stuff kills me.
Why should an inferior player get more than the National Player of the Year?
Christopher, getting a little fiery, a little hot take. I like it.
But to me, that answered the question that I've been wondering, and that Purdue is willing to play the NIL game.
I don't know. I had a kid in my mentions a few months ago saying you couldn't make money in Farmtown. So shout out to that guy.
Farmtown, USA, mother.
There it is.
But that's going to be something to watch, though, because if Zach right now he's a kind of a mid-late second round projection, so no guaranteed money there. That makes things more interesting. If now that Purdue can guarantee him around $1 million, now I'm sure that probably increases too. With external deals, but the fact that Purdue can get him that money even though he has Canadian citizenship, I think it becomes it's going to be a tough decision for him.
Has he put his name in the NHL draft by chance? I didn't.
He hasn't.
Yeah, he
not,
took
not,
the
not that I
hockey,
know of.
I heard.
Yeah, all right. I just
Um,
didn't know. I know
Just
all
have
the
him
hockey
stand in front of a
blockers.
goal.
Yeah.
He is coaching a little league baseball team, so see
Love
him
that.
in the World
Oh,
Series
there you
next
go.
year.
Imagine that
Yeah.
team photo. Just like
Yeah.
a bunch of like.
Ding, ding, ding.
Well, there's probably some 11-year-old on the team that's probably his height and
Yeah.
in size and has a full beard.
And he has a
and
piece
little-
of paper with crayon that says I am 13.
I am 13.
Well,
No,
a certain
talk
a certain
about the-
media personality, did claim that he was going into the transfer portal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
However, Edie himself responded to
Was that Jokic?
It was,
Yeah.
yeah. In a
How
very,
did you
in a-
say his
in a
name?
very,
Oh,
very
Dylan
I
made
slight
see.
my favorite,
Ah,
There you go.
got
Dylan
me
made my
first
favorite
now.
graphic ever whenever that happened with the basketball, but with Dokic's face on it.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
I was pretty proud of that one.
No, so
You know,
I
what's
definitely
funny
think
is-
that with the portal, like we talked about this in the group chat the other day, like it's good that we're playing in it. Like
Mhm.
it's either you sink or swim, and right now, like you have to play in it, or you're gonna get left behind. I
Mhm.
mean, there's things about like previous to this with cheating and hookers and strippers and stuff, like
Allegedly.
allegedly, like obviously that stuff is one thing, but when it's legal money and you see the teams like Miami throwing 800 grand at a point guard and stuff, you've got to play that game. And I think the noble part of you has to go to the wayside for a little bit if you want to compete.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we're gonna have to get in it, and I'm looking at it as a great opportunity to put Purdue in the national championship picture for any sport. Whatever Purdue wants to invest their money in, I think that they could definitely do that. I mean, that's one thing that I've never understood, the argument of like you said, somebody said earlier about, it's a farm town. You can't win in a farm town and nobody wants to go to West Lafayette. It's like, well, why would anybody want to go to South Bend? South Bend sucks. Lincoln, Nebraska. I know Greg McManus, if you're listening, there's probably not shit to do in Lincoln, Nebraska. Okay. So
7 corn mazes and a cow expo.
And a Cal Expo. A Cal Expo would be kind of cool. I'd go.
Of course, yeah.
my wife, she's obsessed
What was
with
that?
like miniature cows.
Dude, my wife wants Highland cows so bad.
Are those the really fluffy ones?
They're big dogs. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really what it is. They look like big, golden doodles or something.
You imagine Copper in a Highland running around though? That'd be great.
He would. That horse.
Murder
This
it.
isn't going to be a horse podcast, but God, I could share some stories.
Are you that horse guy from high school, Dylan?
Actually, no, I didn't start messing around with horses until like 2 years ago. So I was not a horse. If you would have told high school me that I would own a horse now, I'd be like, you're an idiot, whatever. But here we are. You never know.
He's like, now I watch Spirit. Me and Copper watch the movie Spirit every weekend.
And I shed a tear every time.
That and Seabiscuit.
Seabiscuit gets me every time too.
I'm not surprised. All right,
Sorry,
let's
I'm
go
one with my
football.
emotions. Yeah, football.
No, hold on.
Emotions. What's emotions?
I would be remiss to not talk about the accolades that Jaden Ivey has received really quickly.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good
He just
point.
became the 5th rookie ever
Ever.
in NBA history
Ever.
to have 1,200 points, 385 assists, 285 rebounds, and 120 made three-pointers.
Frank, is that
He
good?
became
I
the
think that's
5th
good.
rookie. Well, when you look at the other people who have done it, Trae Young,
Good.
Allen Iverson, Steph Curry, and Luka
Good,
Doncic.
man, good.
It's really
So-
interesting that
These are okay humans.
4 of the 5 are kind of like in the new era of basketball, like the NBA. Like 4 out of the 5 of them still play. So it's interesting. There's not more like older names on that list. I don't know. I just find that really interesting.
Well, I think he found himself in a really good scenario in that he was on a bad team who had a lot of playing time for him, with Cade Cunningham getting hurt. The ability to score 1,200 points as a rookie comes with, the ability to play and see the floor, which he found himself in a really good position for that. So there's an element of luck there, in terms of, the things around you necessarily can't control, but also he's a very, very talented player. Really excited to see what he does in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Chris, please continue with football.
Oh man, it's been a roller coaster last
Did he
couple
wake
weeks.
you up?
No, sorry, I wasn't prepped to take that over there.
I've got the list pulled up of people that have gone in and out of the portal. If you want me to,
I'm gonna. I don't care. You just lead this rodeo. I'm just riding the horse.
right on. So
Hey, now.
Purdue players that have entered the portal up to today. So we've got Michael Amo still in there. Brady Allen just joined the portal again today. Kyle Bilodeau, he is still in the portal with no destination yet. Branson Dean went to
But he has been located, though.
Yes, he is
thankfully.
alive. He
Thankfully, I was about to start a search.
if you're
Oh, that's good.
a longtime listener, you'll get that joke. Branson Dean, he's at Miami, which I was looking at the transfer portal rankings. Branson Dean was ranked 26th or 25th out of everybody in the portal. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Didn't he go on a Miami press conference? How he's like, the weather here is so much better than West Lafayette. Yeah, no shit. Yeah. Oh, real shocker. All right.
I think he
Thanks,
just said
Mr.
Miami
Wizard.
in general is better than West
Wow.
Lafayette.
Again, still,
Yeah.
no
Again.
shit.
No shit.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people took offense to that. But he didn't say the University of Miami is better than Purdue. He just said the city of Miami is better than the city of West Lafayette. And if you're going to argue that,
Yeah, we're all Purdue guys, and
I
we're
mean,
sitting
like-
here like, well, yeah, that makes sense. That checks out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
lowest
I'd
temperatures
probably
82
rather
degrees
live in
year
West
round.
Lafayette than Miami. But
so
I don't like.
we've still got King Daru in the portal, which still no destination for him yet either, which I'm kind of surprised by, to be honest. But I'm sure that'll change sooner than later. Javon Grigsby, defensive back that just joined into the portal today. Spencer Holsage was one of the first, I think. He went to UCLA.
Yeah,
That
one hurts.
Simone Fano, he went to Arizona State, which I think that was kind of a shocker. He was supposed to play a big role on the offensive line, I think, this year. So from what little tidbits I've heard, that was kind of a surprise. Greg Hudgens, defensive tackle, went to Charlotte. Lawrence Johnson went to Auburn. I'm still shocked that Lawrence Johnson. There's a couple names on here that I'm really I was really thrown off by.
Jack Sullivan was the one that surprised me.
Yeah.
Jack Sullivan, Lawrence Johnson, even Eric Miller today entering the portal. I thought that was crazy. But again, best of luck to all those guys.
Sullivan's at USC, right?
Yeah.
Who? Yeah. USC.
Sullivan,
Yeah, Jack Sullivan ended up at USC.
UCLA.
Yeah, so Eric Miller and Spencer Holstage, those are our two best offensive linemen returning from last season.
Mm-hmm.
So TBD on who the starting quarterback is, but we got to protect him. So that's
We know who the starting
Is
quarterback
it really a TBD?
It's
Breaking news: it's Hudson Card.
Hey, I'm not jumping to conclusions, even if they're mostly obvious.
Oh man.
Yeah.
No
we've got
detective.
We've got Kobe Lewis at Florida Atlantic. Charlie Kenrick, tight end. He entered the portal yesterday. Ricky Smith is at Middle Tennessee, and then you guys said Jack Sullivan's at USC. So I think that's at 12 now.
Speaking of Florida Atlantic, I think we got a really dynamic wide receiver from Florida Atlantic. It was a trade.
Yeah, Jamal Edrin, 6'3", 210, something like that.
Yeah,
Big, tall
and he
dude.
high points the ball very well. He's a really crispy route runner, and he just is very he seems very physical, where he's not worried to hand fight guys down the field and stuff. I'm very, very excited about him. I don't know if he goes Charlie Jones type, but I think that he's very capable of being a solid piece in that wide receiver room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a couple of big names that have Purdue's added from the portal. Definitely Hudson Card, transfer from Texas. Potentially, most likely, our starting quarterback. Jamal Edrin that we just talked about from Florida Atlantic. We've got Jalen Grant from Bowling Green, who's a center or offensive lineman. Ben Farrell, another offensive lineman from Indiana Wesleyan. Marquise Wilson, cornerback from Penn State.
I'm so excited.
Jeffrey Imba, defensive end from.
I'm so hyped about him.
Is that how you
Auburn.
pronounce it?
It's how we're pronouncing it until I hear a radio announcer say it correctly.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I need to ask Marcus how to pronounce his last name and then just base it off of that.
Right. No, I'm
Um,
very excited about him. I think he is going to be an absolute stud.
A dog.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's going to be on that Karloftis scale of just
Ooh.
eating people's souls.
I'm really excited to see. He's a freshman coming in this year, but Harkless. What do they call him?
Mhm.
The Tank, or something like that. I can't remember what
That's a
his
good
nickname
nickname.
was, but he's a big boy, very big boy. He was an Auburn commit, I think, and then when they had the coaching change, they didn't honor the what's the word?
Yeah, he was the one we
The NIL
Offer.
Scholarship
commitment.
offer.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was-
scholarship.
He was the one we flipped like right before signing day, right?
Yeah,
Maybe on signing day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something tells me Walters had a relationship with him before.
Hey,
Mhm.
Walters, good coach. I'll say it right
Dude,
now. I don't care.
Walt- And speaking of that, and I think this kind of leads into the next part of that is the Tiller Tunnel.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So hyped. I cannot wait to see
God.
Tiller Tunnel in the backlight of Ross-Ade Stadium.
with what I'm
Breathe
assuming
better
is like the Boilermaker special or a replica one of it sitting up there behind or right under the Tiller sign. That's gonna be sweet.
The one thing I'm disappointed about,
Oh.
no Rowdy statue, and I'm
You and your Rowdy can
bring
shut
back.
up.
Hey, Chris, I take Rowdy very seriously, and I will.
I
Not
noticed.
Take that
I'll
slander.
fight you.
Bring it on. Okay.
I just remember my earliest and I think only memory of Rowdy was some game. It was like one of my first Purdue games. We were playing Michigan State, and I just remember seeing Rowdy, and I didn't know who Rowdy was, and I just remember seeing this big floppy inflatable mascot just walk over to the Michigan State sideline and was just like running into Mark D'Antonio just over and over again.
Dude, somebody. So I guess the suit itself sold, and somebody tweeted me like a year or so ago of like a Halloween and some guy in the actual Rowdy suit walking around his neighborhood for Halloween.
Oh
I bet
wow!
that thing was not cheap.
No, did I ever send you guys the photo of it like deflated on a bed, and that's what they used for like the auction photo?
I'm sure it's terrifying.
It's terrifying. I think I tweeted like, "This is what happens when you do drugs," and it's just deflated Rowdy.
Rowdy looking like he's having a friggin' aneurysm.
Rest Rowdy. They should bring him back. They should bring him back. That's all I'm saying. But the tunnel does look incredible.
Oh yeah, I'm very hyped about that, and I think now that we've kind of got the final piece of how that all is going to look, a few fans on top, but then Tiller, where you can see the sky coming through.
In all seriousness, though, there's got to be a Tiller statue where where like Damon brought up where they had the train in the rendering.
Mhm.
You put a Tiller statue right in the middle there, and the sun sets right above his noggin. Oh, that'd be perfect. It'd be perfect.
Yeah, yeah. And I saw the video of the aerial shot of like that tunnel's freaking huge too.
Yeah.
It is a
Yeah,
big
I drive
tunnel.
by it. Yeah, it's thick.
How many C's?
2.
Oh, damn. All right.
But yeah,
Thin
absolutely.
Tiller
They are
tunnel.
building the first floor of the student section right now.
Oh, nice.
The first floor.
Well, there's like I'm looking at it right now. It's like there's I think it's a 2-floor student section.
Oh, damn.
Mm.
I wonder. I'm excited to see the south end zone too. It looked like it's got rebar.
Yeah, I love that Purdue fans make Twitter accounts for any and everything.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's somebody that went and made a Ross-Ade renovations account, which I actually really appreciate. I think it's very. They post like daily pictures of it, but
A lot of people think I'm drunk, Rowdy. I'm not. I have no idea who it is, but respect
shocked
to
you're
him.
not.
I'm not. I'll say it. I'm not drunk, Rowdy. Guy does an incredible job, though. Good for him.
The one that I'd like to shout out while we're talking about Purdue Twitter accounts is the Purdue in like 1977 account.
Yes. Yep.
With all of 50 followers and
Yeah.
Well,
there's also a Purdue 60s account.
Yeah.
So like
Just
they
going-
Oh,
tweeted
Russ
out-
runs that one.
going hard every day,
Yeah. So the Purdue 60s account tweets out like, "Oh, today Neil Armstrong landed on the moon."
Big day. That was a big day.
Stuff like that. Like tweeting like it was during the 60s or whatever. Like it was very cool.
That is cool.
what is the name of this account? I can't find anything.
Yeah, someone's got to send that in the group chat. I couldn't find
I'll
it.
send it.
So while we're on the subject of the tunnel, there are some players who will never get to run out of the tunnel because
Oh,
they
that's
are
sad.
going into the draft.
Well
Good
done.
transition.
Wow.
Hey, that's why he's the big brain.
Big
Attaboy.
freaking
So the
brain.
draft is coming up. We have our old QB Aiden O'Connell in the draft. It's looking like
Been around since 1982.
That's this Thursday, right?
Great mustache.
it's this Thursday.
Yeah.
Is it really?
And Russ has a lot of the intel on these guys, but I've been
He's a draft
seeing
guy.
Aiden.
That's what old people do.
Where
I've
he
been-
at though?
He
I've
was
been
there
seeing
for the
Aiden
war
anywhere
draft.
from third round to sixth round. I've been
guys.
seeing kind of the same for Payne Durham. Jalen Graham hasn't been getting a whole lot of traction from what I've read so far. It's looking like if he is drafted, he'll be a late draft guy. But I was reading earlier today, Sports Illustrated said, don't be surprised to see Corey Trice go in the first.
That would be a
I
surprise.
like that. Yeah.
That would be awesome.
I mean,
Dude's
that
And
might be
anyone
hype,
who's
but-
listened to this show for some time knows that we're fans of Corey Trice. I'm a huge fan of Corey Trice.
Mhm.
And for him, like I would love nothing more than to see Corey Trice go in the first round. I mean, there's a lot of good talent, in this year's draft, but he was a guy who, after the combine, people were saying, okay, he's probably a third round guy, and then after some workouts, second round. So he will be playing on Sundays.
I'll be honest though, like there's a lot of good talent in the draft, but I don't think there's a lot of good corner talent in the draft, which he might be a beneficiary of that.
Yeah, I don't know, but
Like the kid from Penn State's in. I think there's a USC kid in. There's a couple there, but like
Joey Porter Jr. is
Joey
insane.
Hugger Jr. Yeah, like I don't know. I think he'll be a beneficiary of this type of draft. It's kind of like I don't know.
Well, hopefully that's the case. I'll be really excited to see him play. I was a big fan of his. Watching him at Purdue, he was a guy that you didn't hear his name called very much because his guy was never open. So that's how you know you're doing a good job as a defensive back. So he made tackles.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, he made tackles, locked down his man, and did everything right. So I'm sure that's going to translate to the next level. So excited for Corey.
So I think we've talked about before, guys. That probably could have really flourished under Braum with his offensive schemes and whatnot, like Danny Anthrop being one of them. A couple other guys as well that come to mind. But I've been thinking about this kind of flip flop with Walters. Guys defensively that maybe could have really thrived under Walters in his new scheme too. Like I know Corey Trice had a pretty stellar college career, but I would love to see Corey Trice under Walters' offense, or even Jalen Graham as well, because Jalen's a tough dude, man. He's built like a tank.
He's a dog.
He got that dog in him. There's a couple guys that I wonder. I'm like, man, I wonder how that would go. With Walters at the helm. Not that, I mean, statistically, it's just a fact. Like Purdue just hasn't had a fantastic defense. They've improved drastically from where they were, 5-6 years ago, but still not great. So I would love to see what these guys could have done under Walters as well. But that's all what ifs. Jeez, not everybody all at once.
We went from the best transition that Frank had to like nothing.
Doo-doo.
Hey, I was
crickets.
wanting to see if someone else could carry it, but one guy I forgot to mention was Charlie Jones. He's a guy I've been seeing, going late. Not necessarily sure he has what the NFL is looking for, from a size and athleticism perspective, but you never know.
I'm worried about him holding up in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Like he reminds me a lot of like a Wes Welker.
He's a Patriot, Bill Belichick guy.
Yeah, but like I'm worried that like he's just going to get nuked coming across the middle by some 260-pound linebacker. It's going to take his head off, and that's going to end up taking a toll on him.
I don't know.
We all know how nice Peyton Manning was to his receivers, so You never know. I mean, he's got speed. He's got really really good hands. There's a lot of there's a lot of possibility there. I just haven't seen his name on a lot of mock drafts, but mock drafts are written by players who know just as much, or written by people, not players who know just as much as I do. So we honestly have no idea.
No, Mel Kiper knows all. That guy
Should have cosplayed as Mel Kiper and I'd slick my hair back. No, listen here.
No,
Mel
I think
Kiper
this guy
does know more than I do, though. So I'll give him that much.
he has more hair than I do, and that's pretty sad. But
There's way more than Russ.
yeah. Well, Russ is like twice Mel Kiper's age. So what do we?
Damn!
I miss Russ. Oh,
Oh, no.
rest in peace.
Scotches for all.
He's still
All right,
alive.
quick
Russ is
question,
very
guys.
well alive. By
Quick
the way.
question: how do you feel when people call it the University of Purdue and not? Purdue?
I want to snap my own neck.
Okay.
Drives me insane.
There's somebody visiting this weekend that said the University of Purdue. I'm not going to out him or anything, but
Yeah, I saw that, and
I was like,
nearly swan dived into my
Oh
basement.
yeah, recruits do it all the time. There's like it's University of Purdue College, and it's like what? Did you Google the college? Like, what do we?
Very blessed to receive an offer from the University of Purdue. Yeah, no, I see it and it makes my skin crawl, and like I want
just
to
automatically I just go, well, they're not going to commit. They don't even know where they're going.
They don't even know.
Yeah, I should dig through Twitter like while their API is still free and see if I can find everyone who is referred to it as the University of Purdue and see how many have committed. That'd be a fun
That'd be
idle
a very
time.
frank stat. I don't know. I'd enjoy it.
Yeah,
Frankly, I'd
Next
enjoy
one.
it.
yeah.
Nailed it.
A lot of one thing that I didn't necessarily realize until Damon, you listed off all the names in the transfer portal. It's how much depth we're losing at the running back position. With King gone and Kobe Lewis gone, that's a big blow there.
I feel like Tyrone Tracy and Devin Mockabee can hold it down, though. I have faith in them.
Team up.
I mean, definitely. We're under a different regime now, but it seems like in recent years we've been down to our third, fourth string running back.
Yeah, it's very much one injury and a problem. Like that's the only part I'm worried about.
Did we get new?
Yeah.
Did we get new? Yeah, we did get new strength and conditioning. So I'm excited to see if that
Oh,
improves.
wasn't that the guy from Michigan? He had a really
Yeah.
cool name.
Nuked arms, Diesel Mac or something like that.
Diesel Mac.
I mean, it's the size of a Mack truck, dude. Look at his
I'm Diesel Mac.
Diesel Mac. I'm gonna
And
make you lift a bunch of heavy shit.
Sounds like a
I'm gonna
wrestling
make you
show.
real strong.
Yeah.
God, I love this.
You're strong like bull.
Oh my god.
Well, this is off the rails.
Yeah, I just did
Whatever
something
on.
to my headset. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Mhm.
My headset. Okay, that's what it
You
was.
good?
My headphones were like halfway unplugged. Sounded really. I felt like I was in a fishbowl listening to you guys. It was
Very
weird.
professional of you. Says the guy that went an entire show with his mic unplugged.
Yeah, that's right.
Good times. Good times. You learn a lot in a few episodes, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Well, I think we can kind of wrap things up here because I feel like we're kind of just grabbing at straws right now. But just real quick before we do wrap up though, I just want to shout out Mike Bolton Jr. On Purdue baseball. He stole his 70th base this week, so he's
Somebody
tied.
make a report.
He's tied Dan Shetland, who played 1988 to 91 for the most steals in program history. So
Dang.
shout out to you, Mike Bolton Jr. Also your dad makes great 90s ballads as well. Shout out to you, Michael Bolton.
Speaking of athletes' dads, Uncle Conrad, dude, I'm excited. I'm so stoked for his tailgate. Ugh.
He doesn't know we're coming yet, but we're gonna be there.
Listen, I already
You guys know
call.
when
There's
we
Uncle
show up.
Craig. I doubt Devin knows this, but I'm his cousin. Okay.
I am now.
Oh my god! You imagine us all just show up. Uncle Craig, what's up?
What's good? He goes, didn't I do
I
a
just can't get over
podcast
how
with you,
strange
Craig?"
that was, Dylan. Like speaking of players' dads, like that's
Hey,
just
listen, okay, it's not as good as your shenanigans over there, Frank. All right.
yeah,
God.
that wasn't what I expected you to say.
Speaking
that's all.
of athletes' fathers, I know a guy.
Yes, that's that is a dream of mine to go to a Maccabee
yeah, we're going
tailgate.
to. I don't know where they're at, but we'll find them.
We'll
find him,
figure
yeah.
it out.
We'll
I
make it
imagine they
happen.
have a pretty close spot. I would hope the first fan
Yeah,
like Purdue
I
football should
guarantee
have
they do.
right by
Yeah.
the entrance. I mean,
Yeah.
In theory,
You know,
yes.
something from from having him on here that I've thought about and has actually carried into my life. Is that this taking more pictures.
yeah,
Not to stray too far away from the subject at hand here, but that was great to hear him say that, and it really made me think a lot. So
I love the Maccabees. God,
yeah,
That was a great interview. Hopefully we can have him on again sometime because that was a lot of fun.
that was a good time. We
It
should have
was,
him
and
and Uncle Craig.
we we
We'll
talked
make it
about
happen.
football, and we talked about life, and and just everything. It was very deep. It's
They're
very
just
deep.
genuine good people. Like there's
Yeah.
good people.
I felt like
Yeah.
motivated to just like improve my life after talking to
I
him.
agree. Yeah,
So
yeah.
all right, cool. Well, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up here. We tried to make it a short episode, and we kind of failed at that, but it's shorter than what it usually is. But
Give the people what they want.
If you've stayed this long, we appreciate you listening. As always, we've still got some things cooking up for the off season. I know we're gonna do a couple breakdown. We're gonna start breaking down the
Rice
football
cooker.
schedule team by team. Once we get a little bit closer to the season. But until then, we will see you guys then. So boiler up, hammer down, and have a great summer, everybody.
Rest in peace, Russ.
R.I.P. my man.
He's not dead.